Welcome to Behind the Scenes. Every Thursday, I host an episode of either Behind the Scenes or Transformation Time. I am your host, Diana Lizarazo, and today's guest speaker is Erwin Szeto. On Behind the Scenes, we get to talk, our guest speakers are real estate investors who get to share their real estate experiences, the strategies they're working on with you. So today we'll be talking about what kind of strategy, the specific property they're working on, what the numbers are like, and we'll also get to hear about the problems encountered, how they were solved, and if it was a new problem, what they've learned from it and what they would do differently next time. So if you guys are ready, I'm going to be bringing on my guest speaker, and I see that he's here, so let's get Erwin on. Hi, Erwin.
Hi, Diana. How you doing?
Good. How are you?
Excellent.
Awesome. Thanks for coming on. So let's get started with just giving the viewers, just tell the viewers a little bit about yourself.
I'm no one special. I just have the benefit of being old and being very fearful. And because I'm always fearful, I do a lot of research. And from the tons of research that I do, I've come to take action upon it, to make decisions to protect my family and for our future well-being in terms of finances. So I have two kids. They're really expensive. They're only going to get more expensive. So everything I do is to protect their wealth, build their wealth, and also for our clientele as well. Yeah.
Awesome. Thanks for sharing. So what deal are you going to be sharing with us today? What project do you want to talk about?
I thought I'd do something a little different than probably what most are looking at. So today I thought we go through our commercial investments, which includes our offices, right? So I think
Awesome.
that's not as common for many. We've made some mistakes, so we'll share those here, and hopefully so folks aren't doomed to repeat the same mistakes that we made. All right.
Awesome. I'm excited to hear about it. So for this commercial, so when you saw it, what was the plan with it? What were you planning to do with it? What was the strategy?
We needed office space. Our businesses were growing. We were borrowing space, and it was actually hindering business. So for example, my wife Cherry was meeting. She has a lot of realtor clients, for example. So she's meeting realtors in another real estate office. So it was really off-putting in that way. And then same with myself. I have my own real estate practice. I have 6 full-time realtors that work for me. So I needed to have some separation from my own brokerage for the business that we do. So we needed office space. So I'm actually walking down the stairs because I think it's best if I take you from the beginning so you can see our front door. So then the viewer can have some, oh, hey Aubrey. So they can have some idea of what we're talking about here. Hi, Rochelle.
Awesome. Sounds good. And then so were there any plans to do renovations, any changes to the property?
Oh,
Or was it like
massive,
a super,
massive.
oh yeah? Okay,
Yeah, I'll show
awesome. So
you.
you're
I'll
gonna
show
walk
you.
us
So
through and tell us?
yeah, I'll walk you through starting from the outside. So I'm not an expert at this stuff, so I'm not like you. So let me just start with, this is what our townhouse complex looks like. So understand this, these are commercial condos. This isn't residential condos, but this is what they look like. They look a lot like residential condos. Townhouses. They are condo ownership. So for example, like this is in the same plaza as myself. Um, so each door represents like a townhouse, and then each floor is its own townhome. I'm trying to point. Each floor is its own condo, so it's all separate title. And then in this plaza we have a condo board. So very much like any condo that people are familiar with, except that these condo tenants are all businesses. So in this one we have, like for example, my neighbor is Sherwin-Williams. Sherwin-Williams head office is in the same building that I am. So I think everyone knows them, the paint company. my neighbors are, for example, a sleep clinic. Also on my floor is this is actually my tenant, Halton Center. They are a group of psychologists. So they're my tenants. So I'm going to walk you into the building. I just thought it'd be cool to walk you through from the front door. So I'm on the third floor. Here's Sherwin-Williams head office right here. They have close to 9,000 square feet. Again, this is their head office in Canada. I think everyone knows who they are. They're the Baker Bain Company. So I'm walking up 3 stairs. And quick thing about commercial: the more stairs you have, the lower the price.
So you own your unit then? Your unit's the one you
Correct.
own?
Yeah, I'm going to show you here. So we first purchased 4,400 square feet, this condo, we bought this pre-pandemic. So that was an unfortunate mistake. No one could have timed it. Thankfully, we did some things right. For example, we purchased with a tenant. So these are my tenants. They've been great tenants. They've paid the whole way. Again, they're psychologists. My understanding is like group benefits pay for their services. So they stayed employed, well employed through the pandemic.
That's good.
Here's our office. So we gutted it. So originally we had 3 offices that took all the windows. We took them out in order to give all the staff more windows and more natural light. We replaced all the ceiling tiles, new paint, new flooring. We built out these rooms here. Hey, Verna. We built out all these rooms here. So we have a boardroom, I have a smaller boardroom, my office, and then of course Cherry's corner office. Hi, Cherry.
Hey, Cherry.
This is Cherry's corner office. Right, all her degrees because she's really smart. Hi, Elizabeth Kelly. Thought you had more important things to be doing.
She's coming in for the sneak peek.
We put this kitchen in, kitchenette technically. There's no stove, right? So we did all of this. I can't work. The renovation was very significant, and just to make some comments around financing, since everyone was all this only works because there is financing for these things. We were lucky enough to get a government Business Development Bank of Canada, BDC for short. So they financed the whole thing for us.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, interest only for the first year, but then they gave us a very high loan to value, very high. Right. So. Yeah.
So what did you purchase the unit? So your commercial property has 2 units in it, yours and then another tenant that you have. Is that
correct?
Right?
It's one condo ownership, but you can divide it up however you want. The way that we bought it, it was divided into originally it was 4. Originally it was 4 offices, but the tenant that I showed you, they had merged 2 of the offices because they needed that space. And then we also merged our 2 offices. So there actually used to be a dividing wall between this space, which is around 2,200 square feet.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. That's great. So what did you purchase your whole unit for?
This unit, we paid around 1.3 for it.
And how much renovations, how much were the renovations for it?
I think we're somewhere around 200, including like our kitchen and appliances and all of our desks and our technology, like our projector that's up there on the ceiling, right? And then we also did custom glass. So yeah, somewhere around 200, and also the window coverings. Quick funny story with the window coverings. Because again, we bought this pre-pandemic. We closed in the pandemic. We closed, I think, somewhere around May 2020. So we closed in the pandemic. So the funny thing about the window coverings was we were trying to get someone to install them. And so first thing to do before you get window coverings is someone has to measure. But this was early pandemic. Oh, understand, again, early pandemic. So the entire building was vacant. except for Cherry and I. So they said, we'll leave and you can come measure. And they said, oh, we're not allowed to come measure. Like, the entire building's empty. At what danger is COVID to you?
Yeah, yeah.
But we were under lockdown orders from our lovely Ontario government. They did still come because yes, logic, you know, they they worked by themselves. They drove by themselves. They're in a building that was completely empty to measure. So they still did it, but it's still funny. When we had these battles all throughout the renovation was supposed to take like 3 months of it, but it took 6 because again of
Yeah,
all
I can
the
imagine.
challenges.
Teams didn't want to work together and things like that, probably, right? Like the different
Yes.
subcontractors needed to be working individually.
Yes, and separate from each other, there could not be any overlap. They could not be in the place at the same time. So it was
Hmm.
challenging, but thank goodness we got done. Thank God we have a great power team, really strong relationships with people that care for us and care for the work that they do. Um,
That's
yeah, so yeah,
awesome. So for this, so did you do any a refi or you just left it like what you bought it, you had okay, and then you're just paying off the loan for the
yeah,
for the renovations?
yeah. We only, if I recall correctly, we only had to come out of pocket for like legal fees and stuff like that.
Hmm.
If I recall correctly, or if I'm pretty sure I'm correct, the government financed the entire purchase. We had to come out of
Oh,
pocket for
really?
renovation.
Was that like an incentive program they had, or was that part of that CBB that it's
It's,
CBB, right?
it's Justin
CBA or
Trudeau,
something?
bro. Free money.
Free money.
Free money for everyone. No, I'm kidding. It's secured on our businesses, and we pay market for interest rate. But again, they finance the entire purchase. We just have to pay for the renovation ourselves. So I
Mm.
jokingly said, "Oh, I'm so disappointed you're not paying for my renovation."
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That sounds like an amazing deal.
Yeah, and now I'm actually in our second condo. We our businesses were growing, so we actually bought. I'm actually in now our neighboring condo as well. So here's my door, for example, and where I am right now is actually this was EMCO's head office. Let me just turn the camera around. I'm gonna step out the door just to give you some more angle. So let's just do it again. So I'm in the neighboring condo. You
Mhm.
come up the stairs. Here's my door. So below me is another business. They own the this is all condo. This is a different condo. Uh, Below me is a sleep clinic. So they're very
Mhm.
successful. Anyways, so this was EMCO's head office. So for those like your husband's in the trade, so I'm sure he knows EMCO, the major
Mhm.
plumbing distributor.
Mhm.
In the pandemic, around the same time we bought our place, they left town. So EMCO, from their notices that were left on the door, was that they consolidated office. They left Toronto. They left. I'm in Oakville. They left Oakville and moved everyone. Well, laid people off, or they moved everyone back to London, Ontario, for their office there. Now they were the tenants. The owners of this property was actually a funny story. The owners of this property, uh, the, uh, the the person on title is actually a financial advisor for one of the big banks.
Oh, okay.
I always love it. I always love it like when you like because you and I know there's lots of financial advisors who invest in real estate, right? So a family led by a financial advisor who works for one of the big banks that's on Bay Street, one of those brands that everybody knows. They're very royal.
Mhm.
Yeah, they own this as an investment property. So that's who we were dealing with when we bought this. So they listed it for rent. They failed to rent it, and then they listed it for sale. We needed space, so we put in an offer, a pretty low offer. We had to haggle quite a bit when we got it done. I was very happy with it. It actually appraised for about $30,000 more than I paid for it, and that was a commercial appraisal. So it's like one of those really expensive appraisals, which are generally
Mhm.
much more accurate than your typical residential appraisal.
Residential.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. It's my
Oh,
own
that's
money. I gotta
awesome.
make sure I get a good deal.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
So
And
let me
was
take you.
this one bought at the same time, or this one was afterwards?
We bought this. We tied it up a year ago, so the fall of 2021. We closed early this year, and then again the renovation took forever with all supply chain issues. So here in this property, again we did flooring. We replaced all the ceiling tiles. It was drywall before. So we replaced the entire ceiling. We had to move HVAC because on this side of the room there was 2 offices. So we took that out to open it up. Also on this side we had 2 offices. We took those out to open it up and to give us a training room. This is what we call our training room. So here we can actually seat, without tables, we can seat around 60, 70 people. With tables, we can sit around 24, 30 people for presentations. Here's my overkill projector that I paid a lot of money for. Cherry calls this my man cave because I have really nice speakers as well.
So you made sure it has all the best in there.
I'm still frugal on some things. Like I got the speakers on sale, but this is an academic grade projector. So you would find the same thing in like universities and colleges for high resolution, and I have an 80-inch projector screen. So you see them. We're set up to give presentations, lecture style, right? Also, some neat things your other guests probably don't cover these sorts of things because this is a newer renovation. So we renovated this year. So for example, this is a meeting room for one, right? The term in the commercial world is phone booth.
Okay, that's funny you said. I was gonna say the same thing because when I used to work, we had like phone booths. Yeah.
Oh, okay. So the challenge what we found, because the main occupants of these offices is our accountants. And accounting typically requires private conversations. So what was happening was our accountants were using entire boardrooms just for themselves to do a phone call or a boardroom. So they're basically doing a meeting for one because the other person on the other side of the call was not there physically. So then we built out these what we call phone booths. Again, it's just a meeting room for one, stand-up desk, right? Insulated for sound. And these doors are beautiful. Actually, funny story about these doors. These are original. We just painted them.
Oh yeah, they look like nice heavy-duty doors.
They're well. These are original. This building's 1989. And the funny thing about the doors was, we had a commercial contractor come in and quote us on the renovation, and in her vision, she suggested that we change all the doors to modern code, I think, to allow for wide enough for wheelchair access. Now, remember all those stairs I showed you? There's no elevator here.
I was gonna say, I'm like, if they can't even get to your unit,
Yeah.
what's the point of the units having the proper accesses?
Exactly. So this is what happens when design meets business owner. Business owners have budgets. Designers just think, I don't know, design without budget. So instead, because we didn't move anything, we were able just to paint our existing doors and save, I don't know how many, at least 10,000. We probably saved more than $10,000 by repainting our lovely solid wood doors. And these solid wood doors be worth a small fortune.
And that's a great point that you make, actually, because it is true. I feel like, let's say, designers and contractors are so used to, for example, clients, and clients are so different than like investors or like businesses where you're on a budget, like it matters where you're putting your money. And I feel like a lot of designers and contractors are used to the residential, like usually they'll say their budget, for example, is like 50,000, but then all of a sudden they need this upgrade and that upgrade, and all of a sudden it doesn't matter about the budget anymore. Whereas like in our world, that doesn't exist. It's like there's a budget and it stays within the budget unless if there's like some actual issue and not really like where it's not about that, like the luxury finishes.
Yeah, unless it provides me a return, I don't care.
Yeah, exactly.
And again, practicality. There's 2 flights of stairs to get here. Why do I need wheelchair access doors? Right?
100%.
And the funny thing is my friend organized it. So that's what killed the deal for them. Like they're used to working with like enormous clients with like publicly traded companies who apparently don't care about budget. So we do care about budget, and again, like the finished product is quite lovely in my opinion.
Yeah, it looks amazing.
Like I'm 6 feet tall, so you can see this door is like
Oh
9 feet,
wow.
I think. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So we have tall ceilings. That we have another mirrored meeting room here. I think this was an executive's office because it's inside a turret,
Mm-hmm.
right? And
Mm-hmm.
they had a wet bar. They actually had a bar, so we just swapped it out.
Oh,
Yeah.
nice.
So this renovation overall was around 100 grand as well.
And
For
was this one also with the government incentives or yeah,
yeah,
it's like a
yeah. All these people hate
that's
Justin
really
Trudeau, but when he hands you free money, you
you
take it.
should definitely take advantage of it, right?
Yeah, yeah.
I agree.
I jest, but again, the government programs for businesses is quite wonderful. So I have no
It is.
complaints about that. So we put
Mm-hmm.
this kitchen in to match our other kitchen. So
Right.
these are quartz countertops, brand new kitchen, cabinets. Oh, we didn't. Yeah, we don't have a fridge on this side. But again, there's all brand new ceilings because originally it was drywall before. Put in a new bathroom. The old bathroom was quite ugly. Plus, it's
And so actually curious on how come you changed it to the drop ceilings?
just for practicality, in case we never move. Because these days you
Just to
need to
open
wire
up the
things.
walls.
Uh, it's cheaper. I think that's one thing, and also just to leave things open should we need to move anything, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, for example, if I ever need to move the projector, like to move it with a drop ceiling, much easier than say a drywall ceiling.
Because you're not on the top floor, right? There's
We are on
still
the top
another
floor.
floor on top of you.
It's just attic above us.
There's part of an attic. Oh, this is the top.
We are at the top floor. Yeah, this
Oh,
is three
okay, okay.
floors. We can't handle
Mhm.
more stairs, Diana. My
Yeah, you
pedometer is
definitely
very happy with me.
get your daily exercise in at least.
Oh, but can you imagine moving furniture?
Yeah.
I can. I was there.
So
Uh,
you had a week where you were definitely getting that exercise and no issues there.
yeah, and that's like the truth about being an entrepreneur. Like you can't. There's a lot of things you don't outsource. A lot
Hmm.
of things that you have to do yourself, including I moved a lot of my own furniture. We didn't have any hired movers
Hmm.
to execute this.
Oh,
Carry
okay,
it.
so you guys did that. Any other thing, like what other kind of things did you do yourselves for this?
I can't. I probably should back that up. Like we didn't lift a finger for any of the renovations. We had a wonderful contractor take care of all of this for us. It was slow, obviously, with all the supply chain issues. Um, but yeah, it got done. Like we did. Cherry and I really didn't lift a finger in terms of actual renovations.
Hmm.
Really, we just made design decisions and furniture decisions, and yeah, we did a lot of the moving ourselves. Plus, our staff helped us as well.
Hmm. That's
Right.
awesome. And for the first unit, actually, I'm curious on the first unit.
Hmm.
Um, while the shutdowns and everything were happening, because you closed around that time,
Hmm.
how scary was that? Like, were you
Oh,
very nervous
terrible!
and you were fine? Having
It's
heart attacks
terrible.
every day?
So I mentioned numbers earlier, right? We paid 1.3 for it. So we're in for somewhere over 1.4 for 4,400 square feet. The joke I made was if things don't work out, we'll sell our home in Burlington, which costs about the same, and we move in here or renovate to include a shower. Um, and that's actually a really good thing to highlight. Commercial office is very inexpensive compared to residential. For example, the unit I'm standing in right now, we paid. I mentioned it earlier. We paid 735 for it, plus 100 grand renovations, for 2,200 square feet. So that's under 400 a square foot,
Oh, wow.
right? Now anyone can compare that to, and you start a residential condo, and for example, I'm in Oakville. I know the residential condos here are around $1,000 a square foot,
Hmm.
right? So 2.5 times more than what I have here.
Hmm. So
So
you were okay living there if you had to.
it was a joke. It was a bit of a joke. Thank God everyone needs accountants. Thank God real estate's done well for many people. Uh, not everyone, but our experience has been very, very good with even this in this market. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, business has been good for us. Uh, so yeah, yeah, no, it was scary. It was absolutely scary. Like there's pictures of Cherry and I like having date night in the office in the construction zone
Mm-hmm.
because we had to there was nowhere to eat, right?
Mm-hmm.
You
Yeah,
couldn't
everything
dine in
was
in a
shut down.
restaurant. Yeah, everything was shut down. So we get takeout and we eat here while we planned out what to do with the office. We're surrounded
Mm-hmm.
by drywall dust and kind of renovation garbage.
Mhm. At least you had another place to go. I know a lot of people are getting sick and tired of their homes. So at least it's like you got sick and tired of the house, you can go to your office, you know?
Yeah. Oh, and that's the thing about this office as well. Like I still come to the office 5 days. I
Hmm.
personally enjoy the office. I like having the separation from home. I don't know how, everyone's different, right?
Hmm.
I'm only 15 minutes in this drive as well from home. So maybe that's part of the reason why I'm okay with going to the office. But again, I
Hmm.
prefer separation. You saw earlier, we have staff in the office. They have the flexibility to work from home if they want to. Again, though, many of them just choose to also have separation from home, um, get away from it all, have just a
Hmm.
place dedicated to do business and to collaborate with fellow employees. Right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I agree with you. Actually, at the beginning, because at the beginning of COVID, I was still working at the bank. And I have to say, before that, and even in consulting days, I loved actually being in the office. I also loved that separation,
Mm-hmm.
to have like a workspace and not have my house be the everything,
Mm-hmm.
like your gym, your everything. So it was, I have to say for me, it was like COVID times in that sense, my home being like my everything and
Mm-hmm.
not just my sanctuary was actually same thing. It was a bit tough for me to start with. I didn't like that my house was my everything.
Yeah, I don't know how anyone gets along with that, but yeah. No, so
Mhm.
I wanted to show you our. I think this was an executive office as well. So I am now in our podcast studio, which some people see, and you'll be seeing next month, later next month.
Mhm. Next month,
Right.
yeah.
So
Very nice.
uh, this room, we actually only painted this room. Again, new flooring, new ceiling. We put in the pot lights and the new ceiling ourselves. This one's drywall
Hmm.
because there's no technology in this room in terms of like ceiling mounted. So we
Hmm.
decided to drywall this ceiling. These
Okay.
wall features was already here.
Hmm.
It actually looked a lot like a legal office. I don't know, and I thought it looked like a legal office. This was all pine,
So
exposed
it had
pine.
the wood then,
Yeah,
the
it's
wood
all
color.
exposed. Yeah, unfinished,
Hmm.
all pine, wood colored. And
Hmm.
you see the dental moldings along the top. And the other Romeo Juliet balcony,
Nice.
and
Yeah, I like actually the painted wood look with that, like it went with the how they have the design and just painted. I've also started becoming a fan of that. It looks really nice.
mhm. And it's also inexpensive. uh, we
Yeah.
we did paint the mantle, and that's a gas fireplace back there. And then yeah, these bookshelves were the custom bookshelves. Again, they were all exposed pine before. We just painted it all. Right?
Oh wow,
Yeah.
nice.
Yeah. Here's our
So
studio.
so was the main problems that you encountered were mainly just the renovation problems?
Yeah. Uh, yeah. Renovation problems, mainly supply chain issues in terms of getting
Did
stuff.
you ever have any problem with getting the funding to go through? Like, did that take longer than usual or anything?
Uh, all in all, it was pretty smooth. I don't know. Government doesn't have the government does not lack money.
That's true.
We also have a wonderful contact at the BDC. If anyone needs one, they can just reach out. They were. Arthur is. I've said it many times. Arthur is probably the best government employee I've ever worked with. I
Oh
couldn't
wow,
believe he
that's
worked for the government. Government at any level, at any
mhm.
level. Yeah, Arthur at the Business Development Bank of Canada, the best person I've ever worked with. For example, we had to give a deposit check. Uh, you know, we had to pay. There's a bunch of stuff we had to pay for up front, like appraisal, legal fees, something like that, and and some money just to, I think, to prove that we're serious. Arthur and I were trading phone calls and texts to set up a meeting, and he actually met with me on a Saturday, and
Oh wow. Yeah,
and it
that's
was
not
raining.
normal for government
Yeah,
workers.
exactly. Like he was willing to meet me on a Saturday at a mutually beneficial location.
That's amazing.
Right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that shows a lot because I feel like it's true. Government employees are very boxed into certain
Hmm.
ways of being, I feel like.
Yeah. I think it's very just different at BDC because they have objectives they have to hit in terms of how
Mhm.
much they lend out. Um, but yeah, again, best government employee I've ever worked with. Yeah.
Awesome. That's
I don't
great
know much
that you
that says
had
though.
that.
He'd be
That's
good.
great that you had that
He'd be
experience.
good. The experience was great from any perspective. Like even if he wasn't,
Hmm.
even if it was private sector. Again, like but yeah, Business
Hmm.
Development
That's
Bank of
awesome.
Canada. Recommend it to anybody who has a business and needs financing for stuffs. Just a
Hmm.
word of caution. They generally don't like real estate investors.
Oh yeah, I've actually spoken to them. They don't, I noticed that they don't do anything residential. Like it has to be commercial type of deals. 'Cause I remember I was speaking to them too, and they're like, if it were a hotel, we would fund it. He's like, but not residential. And I was like, damn it.
Yeah, they're looking for stable businesses, and these times
Hmm.
actually kind of show, like every other day I hear about a real estate investor bankruptcy, right? So I
Yeah.
fully understand why they don't want investors, unless you're like big
Hmm.
time, unless you're like big time with like 10 years of track record or something like that, or very deep pockets.
100%.
Yeah, because I know people who get it
Yeah.
done. I know people who get it done,
Hmm.
but it's not easy. And also they don't have the same terms that I do.
Hmm.
Mhm.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, that would make sense. Any other things that, or like any experiences during the renovations, either the two buildings that you had that you want to share of like difficulties and stuff that you had during the process?
I will share something that was interesting. When we were trying to buy this, there was actually no vacancy in our plaza, like none, nothing for rent, nothing to buy. So it does appear that we're past the bottom for commercial office. Um, yeah, and I'm pretty sure the value has gone up as well. For example, just recently for sale below us, they listed for 1.7 for the same size as we have. Um, so yeah, so it looks like the values have gone up. Hopefully we get a nice new neighbor. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
but again, I think, but it's a big space. 4,400 square feet is quite big. We'll see how long it takes for that to move. And just again for the viewers' benefit, commercial generally moves slower, especially
Mm-hmm.
office space. It just moves way slower than residential, even though
Yeah.
it's so much cheaper than residential. Um,
Mm-hmm.
but yeah, lessons along the way as well. Yeah, it's scary. No different than anything else. Um, Permit
But
process is a
like you
pain in the
said,
butt.
you do a lot of research before taking the
Yeah.
jump,
Oh.
which is, I think, very, very important because, especially I feel like in these times,
Hmm.
this is a lot of people in the last couple of years have
Hmm.
kind of just taken plunges without really running their numbers or doing
Hmm.
enough research. I think
Hmm.
this is definitely the time to make sure you do actually run your numbers properly and
Hmm.
understand the area properly because I feel like people would wing it, you know?
I'm not the winging it type. I work. I went to business school for a reason. I'm incredibly risk adverse. So you mentioned numbers. So it's a really good point. I think the rent for this place would have been over $4,000. And again, I mentioned we paid all in. We're in for about like 840. So compare that to a duplex, right? Very similar numbers,
Mhm.
right? Except my rent would be higher, and the duplex price would be lower. So if I'm willing to buy a duplex say I'm willing to buy a duplex for 800 grand, which I would be, to generate $4,000 in rent, which I would be, plus utilities, I'd do it. So here I'm saving probably around 4,500 in rent, and I paid less than that. So then the
Mhm.
math makes sense. Also, I'm located in Oakville, just off the highway, and the Oakville Mall is just across the street from us. This location's wonderful, right?
That's
I walk to
awesome.
lunch every day. I can walk to the mall.
Oh,
I can
you're
walk.
very, very close then to Oakville Place.
Oh, we're just the other side of the Trafalgar. Like
Oh,
I
okay.
walk under Trafalgar to get to the mall, which I'll probably do after this. So the location is wonderful, right off the highway. And again, Oakville is very different than Hamilton. And then for commercial investors' benefit, generally the further you get from Toronto, the cheaper prices go. So for example, if I
Mhm.
was in Burlington, it'd be way cheaper. But we made the business decision, Chair and I made the business decision. Well, we live in Oakville, and also generally our clientele is from the GTA.
Mhm.
Versus I see a lot of investor groups, they for example buy commercial space in Hamilton but again, your clientele's in the GTA.
Mm-hmm.
So we strategically made an investment decision to be closer to our clientele. So to make it easier for them to come engage with us and meet with us.
100%. And any tips that you'd like to give actually for, let's say, if people are interested in buying on the commercial side and how, they should gauge the prices, like you're saying, like of rental, let's say rates or even price of the houses, like any specific tips you'd want to share to help people out?
That's such a good question. For the first unit that we bought, we had a commercial agent. Terrible experience. And they were referred to me, right? I cannot believe what we had to pay for them, which is just regular real estate commission, just like us in residential. They still were not worth it. So I can't really make a blanket in this specific space in commercial office. It's really hard to find good realtors. It's really hard, right? Like I asked around for referrals, and again, I was not satisfied. I'm pretty easy to satisfy, right? I know the job. I do the job, just in a different space. So we did not use them again. We don't refer them out. If I were to make a blanket statement,
Did you encounter with that realtor? What were kind of the problems that you saw?
they didn't demonstrate much expertise, in my opinion. It felt like we were leading the way all the time. But this funny thing is I hear the same thing from regular people, from people in residential as well. That like I hear many people are dissatisfied with their realtors. So this is not uncommon. I don't know. Because the way I view realtors is, for example, take the commission, right? Say it's $15,000. How many hours does it take them to earn that commission, right? Say it's 100. Oh gee, now I have to do the math. I should have used such big numbers. So say it took them 100 hours. They got paid $150 an hour. I think most people would like that rate, right? So they should be willing to put that kind of, I don't think I get the number right. But anyways, I expect effort, right? I don't expect you to be my beck and call. Like commercial agents, they work typical 9 to 5, typically, right?
Yeah.
Because that's how commercial works. So generally, and then there's some weekend stuff. But it was hard getting a hold of them to do showings with us.
Oh.
Right? And again, I'm already licensed. I can go and book my own showings, right? So maybe in that way wasn't great. But again, like demonstrate your expertise to me. Give me referrals. For example, like we need referrals for, design, HVAC, stuff like that. None of the referrals were any good, right? So like for my business, my power team is incredibly important to delivering excellence for my customers, my clients, right? Their power team was useless to me, right? So then where was the value? And I paid what's the commission on 1.3? A lot of money.
Yeah.
Right? So I didn't see value there. Now I generally like working with high quality professionals. I never negotiate with my lawyer, my accountant, my mortgage person, never, because I want high levels of service. My property manager,
100%.
my contractor, handyman, I never negotiate price. Not never, but generally I do not, because I want great service. So again, with the commercial agent, did not ask for anything, right? But they did not live up to even any semblance of a good standard. So I cannot say. So my blanket statement is almost do it yourself. For example, a good friend of mine asked me for just recently last week. He said, "Who's the best person for commercial office space rental?" I told him like from a friend. I'm not saying this. This is what I told him. This is not a recommendation for anyone else. I told him, just get one of your realtor friends to put you up on a search. You can probably do it yourself. Right? So I can't recommend everyone do it themselves, but I think a good number of people can do their own, can source their own investment property. It does require a massive amount of diligence, which I'm happy to do, because that's how I operate. But not everyone's willing to do that. So yeah, I have no recommendation for folks in terms of realtor to use. Sorry for anyone who I've offended.
And what about Well, an extra cost that you also have to deal with on the commercial side that I don't know if everyone knows is that you also deal with HST costs, right? In the
Yeah,
rent.
yeah. Thank goodness. And the purchase. The Cherry and
In
I's
the
businesses.
purchase also?
Yes, but again, Cherry and I, I'll confirm that with Cherry later, but Cherry and I both collect HST in our businesses,
Hmm.
right? Which is, again, another challenge for real estate investors. Residential is, you and I don't collect HST on the rent, right? There's no
Hmm.
HST collection in those businesses, generally in our businesses, unless you're a property manager, but that's so few of us. Um, but my point being is I can get the money back, right?
Hmm.
For any sort of HST I outlay. Because for those who don't know, there's HST on accounting services and on realtor commissions.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah, that's true. Wow. Oh, yeah, that's true. I didn't realize there's actually HSD all over the place.
Yeah, gotta love Ontario. That's why so many people are moving to Alberta.
I know so many people are moving to Alberta. It's
Yeah.
funny.
At the same time, though, like developers are still building, and once interest rates go back down and the market improves, they'll start building again. They have to pay HST
Mhm.
too. Like the fundamentals are too strong in Ontario. It's not like it's over for Ontario. It's just
Oh,
some people go to Alberta, which I can
mhm.
appreciate.
Mhm. Well, I think they're going more for the cheaper values, I feel like, than anything
Yeah,
else.
yeah,
I feel
that's
like
part
it's
of it.
just easier. Actually, your opinion, since you kind of brought it up, because I'm super curious about this myself.
Uh-huh.
I'm kind of confused actually because the interest rates are rising for all provinces,
Hmm.
and then obviously in Ontario it's slowed down. And my guess is just the price. But I'm curious because like that a lot of people are moving to not moving but buying in New Brunswick or for example like you said Alberta.
Hmm.
Curious on your opinion on on is it just the price or what is making the like because I hear Alberta for example is like very hot right now. I think New Brunswick is kind of like okay,
Hmm.
but I'm just wondering how they're not or it sounds like they're not affected by interest rates like it is in Ontario where we have seen a good slowdown. Curious on your opinion.
So again, real estate market talk in stats, it's everything's local. For example, uh, and even local to specific strategies. So for example, I speak to apartment building investors all the time, all across the country. And everyone I've spoken to tells me there's no deals. They're still running into multiple offers. I had Dahlia just on my podcast and said the same thing. We're not seeing any distress in the multifamily space. I hear the same thing from my lawyers. There's like no distress among sellers, among existing apartment building owners. And even if there is, they don't have to show it because they'll get 4 or 5 offers on their building, right? And then in the markets where I focus on, for example, in Hamilton, certain pockets, there's still multiple offers. I
Mm-hmm.
saw a property that I'd be interested in sell for $40,000 over asking, right? So it's mixed everywhere in terms of what's going on. Now, why Ontario investors have left Ontario, uh, each their own. I think um, I mentioned earlier why how real estate prices, especially in the office space, gets cheaper the further you are from Toronto. And no different than residential, no different than rents in general. The rents are generally cheaper, and house prices are generally cheaper the further you are from Toronto. No different than any real estate. If you're out and maybe because Torontonians and people from the GTA, we kind of take it for granted that it is the economic epicenter of Canada,
Mm-hmm.
right? You just have to, for anyone who's been to Vancouver, for example, which is our second most populated province, city, there's almost no head offices there in Canada, right? Uh, the biggest employer in Vancouver is in the shipbuilding industry or ship maintenance industry, right? Versus in Toronto, we have almost all of Canada's head offices, right? I know some of the head offices say they're in Montreal, but not really. With all the political issues they've always had in Quebec, all the separation talk, they have it in title only. In reality, all their people are here, right? All the mining head offices are here in Toronto. So yes, it's more expensive, and the further away, the cheaper it goes. No different than New Brunswick in Alberta. So I can understand why people go there, Again, myself being risk adverse and I've fired 5 property managers, right? I know how hard it is for that business, so that so my understanding is, if everything hits the fan, I know I have to deal with it. So I choose to be within 1 hour drive of my properties. That's my own
Mm-hmm.
standard, right? Uh, and Again, I'm being incredibly risk adverse. I have a very, very, very quality power team, right? For
Mm-hmm.
example, almost every vendor on my power team, lawyer, accountant, handy person, fence person, roof person, I am typically their number one referral. I probably send them more referrals. No, sorry, I do send them more referrals than anybody else does. So they are financially incented to take care of me and my clients,
Mm-hmm.
right? I don't have those kind of relationships in Alberta and New Brunswick, so I choose not to go beyond,
Mm-hmm.
right? So that's my
Yeah.
own risk tolerance, right? I can implement best practice close to home, so that's where I choose to invest personally.
Mhm. Yeah, those are great tips. It's great, very good to know because, yeah, like some people, to be honest, like it actually does shock me when they, let's say, go to invest in Alberta and they don't even have like a solid team there. Because I'm the same. Like if I'm gonna invest somewhere
Mm-hmm.
else, fine, no, I don't mind doing it, but I would put some work into like making sure I have a solid team that
Mm-hmm.
I could actually do something there
Mm-hmm.
and like feel confident,
Mm-hmm.
that it's going to be okay, even though I'm far away. And I notice that a lot of people just kind of take the plunge and it's very complicated when it's far away.
I have all these gray hairs for a reason, because I've seen many people lose money. I've lost money, so I am very averse to losing money. And some commonalities among people who lose money is they invest out of province. They
Mhm.
invest in properties they've never seen before. They don't get inspections. They trust other
Mhm.
people with their money. Uh, so I avoid all those things, right?
Mhm.
And
I agree.
I've seen lots of research and people speak on stage saying that Alberta is the best place to invest, and people lost their shirts for it, right? So I'm incredibly cautious on what I do with my money. Literally, there's one real estate group that was promoting Alberta, like saying buy now, buy now, buy now, just before the U.S. election, right? So the election, this isn't a political thing, but to me, this is a business decision, and this is a major economic event. Either Trump's going to win or Joe Biden's going to win. It's a coin flip. We all know what Joe Biden thinks about oil. Why would I be investing in an oil producing province when I don't know who the president of the United States is going to be? Why not just wait a month, for example? Wait until after the election and then make a decision, right?
Mhm.
I'm not willing to make a bet on a coin flip personally. So again, there's a lot of people out there let's not forget that real estate investors are capitalists. People who are on social media influencers, they're capitalists, right? So you always have to make sure that whatever information you're consuming, taking action on, it has to be quality, right? Like a good example is like CNN on one side and you have Fox News on the other side. They're both businesses, right? They just want to get eyeballs, people to watch so they can sell lots of advertising. And they're going to tell you whatever they want to tell you to make you watch, right? That's capitalism for you, right?
Mhm.
So understand that most information is biased. So you have to dig and find good information to be able to make decisions off of.
Yeah, great tip. Very true. Um, and like that, because you're right, there's lots of people that will just follow what a person says, but it's, exactly what you said, right? It's like you can take that advice, but like look and like you have to see it from so many different lenses to just see if that's even true for your
Mm-hmm.
situation.
Mm-hmm.
Because like you said, like you're right, there are markets that they're still doing good or certain areas. Like I'm kind of a testament to that too. I just sold a Hamilton property, it was on the market a week and a half, and I got
Mm-hmm.
an offer,
Mm-hmm.
and it went firm in a week after that,
Mm-hmm.
and closing in a week. And it was like when I looked at the
Close in a
stats,
week.
I was
Fantastic.
prepared. Pardon?
Close in a week is amazing.
No, in a month, like in a week to go firm, which I
Yeah.
was shocked by that because usually it's 2 weeks. I think they already had like all their financing and everything ready because I was not expecting a week conditional period.
Hmm.
But yeah, and then closing in a month, which now it's a month. Like next week it closes, and same thing. Like I had my numbers set for like I'm gonna probably be sitting on this 30 to 60 days, and I was prepared for not getting offers within that time frame.
Hmm.
But like that, I guess it was, I mean, same thing that you said, like our realtor was amazing. So I think some of that had to go to her.
Hmm.
But same thing, the area we were in, it is kind of a bit of a sawed off area.
Yeah,
But
see?
it's just like you said, it's like there's just certain things that come into place, and it's just, not everyone falls under like you said, like maybe like yes, prices are going down or things may be going. Although to be honest, like the price that I estimated the house last year is still higher this year than last year. Like prices are still, at least again in the area of Hamilton that I had that property,
Hmm.
the houses actually are still higher than last year's number.
Hmm.
Just not like the crazy,
Right.
February, but
Right. Well, can I ask you what you sold for?
it sold for 756,
Right.
754,
Right.
754.
Right. And so you're right on the line whether or not something sells or not. Because
Mm-hmm.
every market has like their premium pricing. Like, for
Mm-hmm.
example, Oakville, probably anything over 2 million is not moving, right?
Yeah,
In Hamilton, the number's around 750. Everything
yeah.
below
We
750 is
made the
moving.
cut.
Well, your
But
place is
yeah,
probably
because I
nice.
know, pardon?
Your place is probably really nice.
No, it was okay actually, but like that, we weren't, for example, in the mountain where things are much higher there. For
Hmm.
example, like there, you're seeing a
Hmm.
bigger drop, right? Like
Hmm.
there, you saw. I don't know. Again, I can't compare to last year, but I
Hmm.
know that in general, of what people of other investors have seen, they've seen a bigger drop than what they've expected. But
Hmm.
beyond that, I haven't done research because really, to be honest, I only cared about my property, so I was doing research on mine. And I know in
Hmm.
my area, like that, like since last year. It was still okay, still good. Like it was higher than what I estimated it at
Hmm.
to be
Hmm.
selling for, so I was still happy with it. And but it was no, it was a like it was okay. I can't say like I mean, especially you have to compare it to the property I did in Toronto. Was a full luxury flip, and that one was gorgeous. So I feel like anything else after that, I'm like it's okay.
Hamilton's different. Hamilton's different
Yeah,
standards.
Hamilton's different. But so that's what I'm comparing to. That's why when someone says it's really nice, I'm like, it's okay. I'm like, because I did like Toronto, like luxury flips, and that thing was like top to bottom gorgeous.
Yeah, 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 yeah. But yeah, anything over 800 grand in Hamilton is generally sitting, right?
Hmm.
The further you are from 800 grand, the more it sits. Generally,
Hmm.
generally.
Hmm. Yeah, great points. Any last final tip or words that you'd like to tell our viewers?
Come to my conference? No, I'm kidding. No, I'm actually serious. Like the
It's
fear is
coming up,
great.
actually. It's in
It is coming
November.
up. November 12th is our conference. Like the fear is great right now. No, not. It's high,
Hi.
and it's only going to get higher. I hear every week about people going bankrupt, real estate
Hmm.
investors. So these
Hmm.
the deals are just going to keep getting better until a point that
Yeah.
they won't,
Hmm.
right? Doug Ford made the announcement this week about triplexes being by as of right. Bank of Canada is pivoting on their interest rate increases. So the time to be an investor, like 2023 is going to be an amazing time to be a buyer, right?
Hmm.
For all
Being
buyers.
cash heavy is a good time, like
Yes.
to be, because like that, like I'm so happy that this is selling at the end of the month, because the same thing, like I'm having a few deals like closing up, and
Hmm.
I'm holding that because I'm like
Hmm.
I just thinking I feel some really amazing deals, and a great point like that, like your networking event, your event conference is coming up.
Hmm.
Same thing. I'm having one. And it's like this is the times where people need to be going to all the events and understanding what's happening with the market. Because, like that, like, right, we're going to be getting into, like you said, some great opportunities
Hmm.
that you really want to be very aware of what's happening
Hmm.
and really, like, almost like daily, like weekly, if not daily, just seeing like what are the changes and preparing for what's coming. Because, like you
Hmm.
said, if you're cash heavy, I feel like we're going to be seeing some amazing opportunities
Mhm.
come. So like that, like I think like that, you guys want to go to Erwin's conference, because same thing, I'm sure you're going to be providing lots of value information there of what's coming and what's going on.
Mhm.
Same thing, we will be doing the same thing. We have our networking event next month too, and it's the same. It will, we're going to also be talking about the market and just like updates and the changes, because I feel like on a monthly thing, I've been doing actually market updates each month now, just because it's like these last 3 months have been so many changes
Yeah, yeah.
going on
Especially
that
last
it's like,
week. This last
yeah,
week's been a big one.
yeah. So it's just like great to keep updated. Like that, I totally advise everyone to just get to all the events. I feel like that right now, I feel like it's the time. Just go to all the events, make sure
Mhm.
you're up to date, check online, follow the people, whatever you need to, like do your research right
Mhm.
now, because we're gonna have some amazing things coming, I feel like.
Yeah, couldn't agree more. And for those who aren't cash heavy, you need to be at events to meet other people you could potentially partner with. Because yeah, like you and
Hmm.
I were just talking about $750,000 properties. Not everyone can get into that. I see no
Hmm.
reason why people don't buddy up and buy properties, right?
Especially in these times, which is
Yeah, because if you're
want to
not in
start
the
budgeting up.
market, if you're not hedging against inflation, which is like you're kidding me if you don't think inflation is going to stay high for I don't know for forever until AI becomes a thing. Uh,
Hmm.
I think you're kidding yourself. So about the
Hmm.
conference though, like in each category, in each area, we're bringing out best practices. We're talking about whole life insurance. We're talking about financing. We're talking about stocks, crypto. I'm giving an economic update and how that points me to how Cherry and I will be investing for 2023. I actually bounced my presentation ideas off of another investor who's been investing for like 15 years, 8-figure portfolio, and his mind was blown based on my ideas that I've been, because I don't sleep. I just think. And so I think I have what I think will be the unicorn investments for 2023. So I'm saving to share that at the Wealth Hacker conference, wealthhacker.ca for people who want information. And hopefully we're working on some surprises as well. So we'll announce those once we're able to sign those up. And again, like all of our vendors that are going to be there, it's a 1 day event. I'm going to have under one roof like the best tech companies for landlord softwares around like tenant screening, leasing services, uh, like landlord credit bureau. I'm going to have Pinnacle, and that Pinnacle Wealth is going to come. So they represent some of the best REITs. Pinnacle Wealth placed my money and my mom's money for our registered investments. We have Equiton Incoming, who do, again, registered investments. So I've seen so many people burnt in syndicated mortgages, like large ones, that I personally don't touch that stuff at all, right? My level of my minimum baseline now is registered. These people
Hmm.
have to be securities licensed. So we have Equiton, who is securities licensed. They do developments. They also do REITs. So depending if people want growth or income, they'll be in house as well. Uh, we have Seth Ferguson coming. So you want a master of someone who teaches how to invest in multifamily apartment buildings. We have all this under one roof. So it'll be an incredible experience and also great use of everyone's time. Because again, 1 day only, you're going to have all these wonderful everything going on under one roof. So the last thing Cherry and I want to do is waste anyone's time. So we promise this will be a wonderful event.
Awesome, awesome. I think everyone will be excited. Thank you for coming on. It was so great to chat with you and hear about your project that you had. And a commercial one, actually, you're right. I haven't had anyone talk about the commercial sector, so it was great to have you on
Yay!
and share your commercial project.
It only came to me this week, and like, oh God, Diana's thing's coming up. What am I going to talk about? I'm like, sweet, I don't have to go anywhere. Probably no one talks about commercial office space.
Yeah, that was awesome. Thank you so much.
Oh, happy
Thank
to,
you,
happy
everyone,
to.
for coming on. Thank you, everyone, for watching. And we'll see everyone in the next episode. Bye, everyone.
Bye,
Bye,
everyone.
everyone.